2, nose to tail. They see the orange and white cone. Push down on the noisemaker, and Aaron Marrant jumps out in front in turn 1. He goes to the high side. Caden Cornell goes down low, and Shane Essery gets a good run. Gets up on the high side, has to lift. They stack him and pack him deeper in the field. 2 of them go to the inside as Johnny Finnewald slides all the way to the inside, as does Larry Jones. They stay on the grass. The green flag stays out. Larry Jones will come back out to the track, and Johnny Finnewald is stuck, and now Jones does come to a dead stance. Cornell and Essery side by side back in row 2. Green flag flies. We're back to racing action as they fan out, go single file, and then spread out wide over in turn 1 as Essery again looks for the run off the high side, loses a little bit of ground. This time Larry Ferris will take that spot away as he slides up into 3rd. Down on the low side, it's Cornell and Essery. Ferris goes to the high side, loses more ground as Richwine now to the inside of him. Chad Richwine looking to take away the 4th spot in that 42 machine. That blue ride will get that spot. Now over in turn 2, Cowboy Daniel Jessen gets
keep close to that 1X that has been real fast from the get-go.
A 3-time winner looks for his first this racing season, and he gets off to another good start over Cornell again, a 2-car length advantage. Essery loses a spot to Ferris, now looks to the inside of the 51, trying to get that spot back. Essery has to lift as his nose gets chopped off by Ferris. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's Marrant, Cornell, Ferris, and Shane Essery. Then you've got Lancaster back in 5th, Richwine in 6th, and it's a 2-way battle for 7th as the 99 starts to look to the inside. Larry Jones tries to get around Richwine, and Finnewald has indeed started to work his way through the field. He was in the back of the pack. He has picked off a couple of them and has worked his way up into a top 10. Aaron Marrant still well out in front, half a straightaway advantage over the 51 of Ferris. Cornell's dropped a spot as he's now back in 3rd.
Marrant will bring the field around underneath the flag stand with a lead of over 1.5 seconds on your second place car of Larry Ferris. Now Shane Essery going to make a run around the bottom of the racetrack and take a spot away from Caden Cornell. They'll be close as they go through 3 and 4 now, but the 15 has the spot as Caden Cornell slides back in the field. Chad Richwine follows behind the white 5-0, and Ashley Lancaster sits in 6th.
Cornell going in the wrong direction. He started on the pole, has already dropped 3 spots back to 4th. Marrant starting to gap the field now as he continues to grow over Larry Ferris, who had 3 top 5s last year. Ferris does have a championship under his belt, but still looking for his first win this year and his first win in 2 years as he was winless in 2018.
Marrant goes ahead and puts the first car at the tail end, a lap down. Rodney Ashworth goes a lap down to the 1X as he passes the 1A. Larry Ferris and Shane Essery giving chase behind him, but it is a big lead for Marrant as he has expanded the differential between he and Ferris now to almost 2 full seconds here on the racetrack with 9 laps down.
No real battle for position until you get deep into the field as Marrant still well out in front. Then you go with Ferris, Essery, Cornell, Richwine, and Larry Jones. That's really your only battle right now, as Richwine, Jones, and Lancaster sit 5, 6, 7. They exit turn 4 right now with Richwine slightly ahead of the 99. Has a 2-car length advantage on the low side. The 99 stays tucked right underneath him as Larry Jones tries to peek to the inside. Has to lift as Richwine shuts the door in turn 3. Gets a good run off of turn 4. As Marrant continues to work his way through lap traffic, he will put the 43 of Craig Wood a lap down, and he will put the 1A of Rodney Ashworth 2 laps down. Gets around both of those, and this is something you don't see all that often in the late model division here at Lucas Oil Speedway. Johnny Finnewald, the next to go, a lap down at the hands of Aaron Marrant. Finnewald went up and got all the way up over the edge in turn 4, lost a lot of ground as Marrant looks to his inside, and Johnny Finnewald 1 lap down, 13 laps into this 20-lap feature.
Marrant's late model, Shane, looks like it is on a rail as he just rides around and picks cars off with almost 0 effort. So he puts your defending 2-time track champion a lap down and now gets ready to look, and it's not that far, Shane. The number 7 car in the field is Ashley Lancaster, and Marrant's not 4 or 5 car lengths behind a number 7 car in the field. How many cars can he put a lap down?
Well, he's probably going to put most of them probably up until the top 5, as Marrant just as a rocket ship here tonight. Caden Cornell's car starting to come around a little bit as he has worked his way around Shane Essery. They are both inside lap traffic right now exiting turn 4. So Cornell was all the way back to 4th. He's moved his way up into 3rd. And now Marrant's got to be careful. He is in lap traffic again. 2 cars up in front of him. About the only thing now that could spoil the night for him is his own mistake or getting caught up in something that is not of his doing. He will get around the 7J. Put Ryan Johnson a lap down, now get his eyes set on Lancaster as 2 laps remain. We have completed 18, 2 laps left between Aaron Marrant and his first feature win of the season. He looks to the inside of Lancaster, clears her, and will spy the white flag as he exits turn 4. Bruce Gordy has it in hand. The hanky flies as the 16 of Ashley Lancaster, her car has expired on the front stretch. A huge plume.
Away from starting this season just like last season.
Jason Russell also got a win, but Aaron Marrant sees the green. Next time around he'll see the white, and he will try to continue to gap the field as he has a 3-car lead advantage over Ferris. Now Caden Cornell looks to take that second spot away. He will have 1 lap to try to do it and pick off that spot from Ferris as Marrant sees the white flag. Cornell right on the back bumper of the number 51 of Larry Ferris. Ferris stays down low. Caden Cornell follows suit. Shane Essery back behind him in 4th. Nobody will have anything for the 1X of Aaron Marrant. Checkered flag flies.
Let's see if we get a clean green this time. McCowan side by side with Justin Comer as they get this one started. McCowan, a good run off of turn number 2 as they get 3 wide behind your race leader.
Everybody fighting for the same real estate over in turn 1. Some cars slapping against one another. Rusty Rickard and Chris Jackson, 2 of those. Now Chris Jackson goes to the high side as they all fan out, get a little bit of breathing room, but what a start to this race, and Dylan McCowan doing a great job of being able to stay out in front.
Chris Jackson and Hollywood Robert Heidenreich trying to move their way up through the field. Heidenreich, a 10th place finish last night in Humboldt, said the car was awful. Looks like it's pretty comfortable at home here at the Diamond of Dirt tracks. As the top 5 cars in the running order have all gotten out and have space to run. Again, that battle starts about 7 cars back, Shane, with Rickard, Chris Jackson, and J.C. Morton has already moved up from 16th to right behind the 65. Mitchell Franklin, a good early run here as they go 3 wide. Robbie Ewing, Austin Joplin. 22 of Greg Woodcock. The 121 now of Tim Phillips making a run on Justin Comer, who's dropped back a spot. Brian McCowan behind Dylan McCowan. McCowan. A little bit of a tongue twister at the top of the standings so far. 5 laps down, 20 laps to go. McGowan now pulls up alongside your race leader. Dylan McCowan trying to hold him off. The 121 of Tim Phillips trying to race his way back in, but the top spot is going to go to Brian McCowan as he barrels into turns 3 and 4 now, taking the top spot away from the youngster from Urbana.
And Eric Turner got sideways over in turn 3 and 4, spun all the way down into the grass, and his
the green flag goes up in the air. We try to get back to green flag racing, and McGowan, a big jump on that restart. Four cars work their way through 3 and 4 behind your race leader, Brian McGowan, who had a 1.2 second advantage on the field the last time around. Well, a few cars have had to exit the racing surface. That will allow us to get back to green flag racing. Brian McGowan and Justin Comer try to run away and hide from the rest of the field. Chris Jackson will go side by side with Dylan McCowan. Jackson clears the young pole setter. Now we'll turn his attention to the top two cars. Comer next on the hit list for your reigning national B-Mod champion, Chris Jackson. Robert Heidenreich trying to plow his way around the bottom of the racetrack, working his way around Rusty Rickard. Rickard able to keep the car behind him, though. Now the 121 spins. Heidenreich gets into the side of Rickard. They start 1, 2, 3 as Bruce Cordy puts the green flag up, and the hammers go down. Everything gets loud as we go back to green flag racing. Andy Bryant rolling around the top of the racetrack now, picking off two cars at a time as Chris Jackson starts to work on Justin Comer. The 65 and the 12 right up against one another as they enter turns 1 and 2, both giving chase behind Brian McGowan. McGowan an 18-second lap time. First green flag lap after the restart. Jackson now around Comer. And Chris Jackson is coming, folks. Jackson in second. Comer gets a little loose in turn number 2, and Dylan McCowan going to take the spot away from him.
Just takes advantage of the mishap by Comer, and now Chris Jackson has his eyes set. Does he have the time? That's going to be your extra 5-lap cushion you might need, as he will work his way up and try to get around McGowan for that top spot. Everyone else fanned out single file all the way through the field. No real other competition, so Chris Jackson, up until lap traffic comes around, just has to put away some good lap times and try to cut into that lead.
Jackson with a new race car this year. The B-Mod National Championship a year ago. He was second in the point standings in 2017 here at Lucas Oil Speedway, third in 2018. But he has got a little less than a second between he and your race leader, Brian McGowan. They run 1 and 2. Dylan McCowan sits in third, Comer in fourth. Back to J.C. Morton in fifth now. See how cleanly Brian McCowan can get away from the field on yet another restart here in our B-Mod feature. Jackson will swing it to the outside. Dylan McCowan giving chase as well, along with Justin Comer. They run 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here comes J.C. Morton alongside Comer. Jackson rolls it around the outside of turn number 4. Dylan McCowan pulling up right behind him as we've got 14 laps in the books. Cars running side by side back in the field behind your race leader, Brian McGowan. Continues to hold a good lock on his lead here this time around. 1.2 seconds the differential between he and Chris Jackson. J.C. Morton now up to fourth.
And Chris Jackson might just be biding his time with 10 laps left. He knows he still has plenty of time to make a run. Don't use your car up. Try to search for that best line that you can make a run on and get around the 22.
Dylan McCowan saw two cars in Jackson and McGowan get around him after he started on the pole. Now he has got his hands full with J.C. Morton, the defending track champ. They slide into one another in turn number 4. Morton takes the spot away and two cars collide. And McGowan has been strong for 17 laps. Chris Jackson, though, right behind him on the restart, and here they go. Jackson to the outside of your race leader. J.C. Morton behind him. Cars beaten. Bang. Austin Joplin now stops his car in on the grass. The F1 of Mitchell Franklin pulls it into his way into the top 10. He currently sits in 9th as we go back to green flag racing. McGowan trying to keep the invaders at bay. Jackson, Morton, Dylan McCowan, Comer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 around the racetrack as they put lap number 18 in. Everybody gets lined out here. No side-by-side racing up front for the time being. A little bit back in the pack. Chris Jackson now cutting down the differential, but sliding up the racetrack off of turn number 4, and he finds himself side by side with J.C. Morton as they go racing for that second spot. Andy Bryant still rolling around the top of the racetrack. They continue to go. J.C. Morton at the bottom of the track. Jackson at the top. A good run off the bottom of turn number 4 gives the second spot to J.C. Morton.
Corey, the top side just has not been there tonight. If you can find your way to get to the inside of somebody, you're going to have an advantage, and that's what J.C. Morton did.
Now, the one car that has been able to rim right around the racetrack has been Andy Bryant. He is now up to 7th after starting 21st, but he is running out of laps as we've only got 4 more to go. Jackson all over the backside of J.C. Morton, but as they battle for second and third, it's Brian McCowan who continues to stay out in front where he has been most of this race.
J.C. Morton would love to see a caution come out right now with 3 laps left just to give him one more shot at that top spot. He has worked his way through the field very methodically, and now 3 car lengths behind your race leader with only a couple laps left.
The 22 leads with 22 laps behind us. Lap 23 now. A little bounce in turn number 2, and J.C. Morton is right there on the back deck of Brian McGowan.
Tries to capitalize, but has to lift, and he'll have one more time around to make it happen.
White flag goes up. Morton and Jackson continue to run down the race leader, Brian McGowan. J.C. Morton underneath him. He's going to take the top spot away. Morton's got 2 more turns to try and come home with a race win. J.C. Morton waited until the last lap, and that's all it takes as he sees the checkered flag fly.
Set 2 by 2, Friesen and Ott on the front row. Green flag in hand, they push the go button, and the field comes to life in turn number 1, and Ott on the outside has the quick advantage over Friesen, pulls ahead by a car length, tries to continue that down the backstretch and will as he dives into turn number 3, but drifts high, and that will allow Cody Friesen to sneak back underneath and lead lap 1. Corey, we've seen it all night. The low line has been the preferred line. Toby Ott, who had the lead, decided to go up to the top shelf. That allowed Cody Friesen to sneak back underneath.
And a similar move right here again, Shane, and it's going to be Friesen in a drag race. No, Ott may have got him at the line there.
Dead heat. I think it goes to Friesen that time around, and the yellow flag comes out as the 6th
racing.
Cody Friesen didn't even have a top 5 last year, only had top 10s. He is looking for his first win tonight, and he'll have 18 laps to get the job done as Ott to the outside of Flood exits turn 2. They fan out 3 wide back behind them in a fight for 5th as it's Barnett now to the inside of Vaughn. Flood gets a good run. He'll take the spot away from Toby Ott, chop his nose off right underneath the start-finish line to secure that spot, then go right back down to the apex of turn 1 and 2. Looks to the inside of Friesen. It's now a 3-car battle, 3 wide, out in front of the field. Friesen right in the middle of the sandwich. Flood to the inside, and Friesen will hold on to it as he's able to excel off of turn 4, get back down on the accelerator faster than Flood or Toby Ott. Extends his lead out to a car length as Ott now to the right side of James Flood, side by side, wheel to wheel. It's Flood with his nose in the air off of turn 4, takes home that 2nd spot over Toby Ott. A lot of breathing room between the top 3 cars in 4th, where Bob Barnett sits back in 4th. Then Vaughn is to the inside of Deason for 5th.
See the way the 42 Shane is carrying that front driver's side tire. James Flood's car is more like a trike as he continues to keep it like a catfish, just a bottom feeder around the bottom of this racetrack where most of the street stocks have had success over the course of the night.
And those 3 cars really have not been able to make any ground on either of the 3, as that's pretty much what you've seen for the last 3 or 4 laps. We are now 7 laps in the books as Friesen's still out in front of James Flood, who now does have a 2-car length advantage over Toby Ott as they've lined out single file 1, 2, 3. And then about a 1.5 seconds back to Bob Barnett, who is in 4th.
Daniel Deason in 5th.
Off of turn 4, step down on the accelerator and head off into turn one as Toby Ott, a good run to the outside, gets around Flood, looks to the outside of Cody Friesen. Will he have anything for him down the back stretch? Pulls along a little further to the outside, just not quite enough as Friesen accelerates off of 4. James Flood will follow as they stay 1, 2, 3 across the line.
Now Flood's going to try his hand at the high side. Ott had been at the outside of the 04 so many times on the 8 prior laps. Flood tries it for a moment and then gets back in line behind your race leader, Cody Friesen.
And I don't think he likes that top group. Toby Ott might like it, but it's not for James Flood as he looks back to the inside, tries to stick his nose in as they bounce along over in turn 2. He'll try it again in turn 3 and 4, completing 10 laps. This time around, again, a spinner over in turn 2 again and up with it. So 9 laps in, 11 laps left. The green is in the air, and Cody Friesen leads them into turn 1 and 2 again. This time James Flood will try the high side, tries to arc his way in. He'll get the advantage over Toby Ott, who got loose down the backstretch, gave up a lot of ground to the leader, and now they're stacked up back behind him as Bob Barnett looks to the inside of Vaughn. Vaughn will not allow that spot to go away from him as he stays out in front of Bob Brown. Decent to the outside as sits back in 6th, and then it's 3 wide. Coates makes a move to the inside as the Buckhorn Bullet rides the outside a little bit further back in the pack, but it's still Cody Friesen out front. No one's really had much for him. They've stayed right with him. They've been to his inside, his outside, and on his back bumper, but Friesen has made that car wide enough. No one's been able to get around him.
James Flood has searched up and down the racetrack trying to find a line that'll get him around the 0-4, and he continues to look for it now. I think the preferred line is for him to try and get his nose underneath your race leader, but he has been unable to do so. And Toby Ott now, Shane, has given up about 4 or 5 car lengths to the top 2 runners.
This is going to be a 2-car battle with 8 laps left between the 0-4 of Cody Friesen and the 42 of James Flood as Toby Ott lurks back in the weeds. He is 2 car lengths behind the second place car of James Flood, and now that gets gapped a little bit more down the backstretch. The Buckhorn Bullet makes a move inside the Coates machine. The number 35 ride as Hendricks has to lift off the accelerator before getting to the back bumper of Vaughn. As your top 3 cars still 1, 2, 3. Now a run by James Flood. He will get to the inside of Friesen. Take that spot away. New leader on lap number 15, the 42 of James Flood.
And Cody Friesen could just barely get there to slam the door shut in time to stop Toby Ott from following James Flood right past him.
And all it took was James Flood getting around the 0-4, and just like that, he has already started to put some distance between he and Friesen. It's almost up to a full second that time around. Didn't take him long to get some space. 4 laps left.
That is a big run by the 42 that when we watched him in the heat races, Shane, I think you and I both agreed that in open space, I don't think anybody was faster than the 42 in those 2 heat races, and now he's proving it as he continues to pull away. The last time around, a 1.2 second advantage over Friesen and Ott.
Yeah, he's gaining about a half a second every time around. So the top 3 cars all spanned out with 2 to go. Then a huge mess on back for 6 as it's Vaughn right in the middle. Ted Welshmeyer looks to the inside. Now the Buckhorn Bullet gets tapped from the backside. He is able to keep it righted. He's awfully slow down the pace. He's just hoping for those top 2 cars to make a mistake. Ott will try to take advantage right out of the chute. He gets the inside of Cody Friesen, and James Flood has checked out. He is a good 3 car lengths in front of the second place car in Cody Friesen. Toby Ott tries to make that second place his own. He will drive it hard down into turn 3. White flag comes out this time around. Flood continues to expand his lead. Now Toby Ott has gotten around Cody Friesen. So Flood in first, Ott in second, Friesen in third, and James Flood says goodbye to the field. Off of turn 4, double checkers in the air. It goes to the 42 of James Flood.
Reed will get things started here as the cars will come screaming to life. Robbie Reed able to keep the nose clean and out in front, 3 wide behind him. The 75 is spun off the inside of the 98. Tad Davis dumped onto the infield, tries to keep his race car going, pulls back out onto the track. Not sure if he can get it to go, and that one. He will have a front row seat to this restart. Reed revs the engine, tries to keep the 1X of Matt Johnson behind him. We are off and racing as they roll it through 1 and 2, and a big-time run for Robert Reed down the back stretch. The 14 of Dustin Walker gets a little loose down the back straightaway, but he's able to hold on to it. Here comes Darren Fuquay in front of Peyton Phillips, trying to get to the outside of Chase Domer. The man from Mayetta, Kansas on the move, along with the principal is Pursley, right side by side with the big-time bail bonds car. But there is going to be another caution flag for Robbie Reed. The man from Mexico, Missouri will put the hammer down, and we'll go back to green flag racing. Johnson right in the tire treads of the 5. The 87 of Fuquay behind them. 3 straight black and orange cars sit 3rd, 4th, and 5th. If I was looking for a paint scheme right now, I think that might be one of them. Johnson trying to pull up alongside Reed now. Reed gets a good run down the back chute. Johnson puts his nose to the bottom of the racetrack, but Reed will again lead them around. 5 laps down, 15 to go. Domer slides up the racetrack, starts to open the door for Sheets, but Sheets can't get a run off of turn number 2.
Yeah, he got down in that bump and actually pole vaulted his way to the outside and couldn't keep his momentum up, letting Peyton get in there as well as the principal.
Matt Johnson's got his momentum up as he tries to give another run to our race leader, but instead we will have another caution. What kind of restart Robbie Reed has in store for us this time? As he gets into the gas and they go down the front straightaway. Tell the track getting a little dry and slick down there in turn number 1. Well, a lot of the race car drivers prefer it. Johnson now tries to sneak under the 5 again, and they will be close as they come to the start-finish line. Johnson bounces through turn 2. Fuquay nearly gets sideways, nearly hits the white tire, is able to hold on to it, but loses a spot to Domer. Peyton Phillips and Jason Pursley coming up quickly on the 87. Johnson had a good run that last lap around to try and get around Robbie Reed, but has still been unable to. Lucas Gibbs down to the high side in turn number 2. See if he can turn right and exit the track, and he does, to allow us to stay green. Fuquay now going to try his hand around the top of the racetrack, gets a good run, and pulls up right behind Chase Domer now. Robbie Reed continues to run out in front in this one, as we are at the midway point, 10 laps in the books.
Robbie Reed has done a great job to stay out in front, weathered the storm from Matt Johnson. They started 1-2, and that's where they're at. Chase Domer was up in row 2, and he's been able to
ride into the infield, and he is going to park it. He was running in 4th behind Chase Domer right before the restart. So Fuquay calls it a night. Can Robbie Reed continue to stay in front of the 1X? Johnson has never let him get too far away, but has never had enough to get around the 5. Chase Domer now gets a good run off of turn 2, fires around the 1X and takes the 2 spot away from Johnson. Johnson has been unable to get around Robbie Reed. Maybe Chase Domer can.
As we mentioned before, you know that car that Chase Domer is piloting has the ability to win a race. That is Jeff Cutshaw's old ride. He was a multi-time champion here at Lucas Oil Speedway, and his backup car came out with a new car last year, got a couple of wins, and Now Chase Domer owns that machine, and he is trying to find his way to victory lane.
Peyton Phillips now takes third away from Matt Johnson, and Jason Pursley wants a spot as well. The top 5 cars: Reed, Domer, Phillips, Johnson, and Pursley. Chase Domer had a good car last year, but from a good car to a great car is now Johnson bobbles it through too. That'll open the door for Pursley. The principal pulls into the 4th place spot. Domer, though, not gaining any ground on race leader Robbie Reed, now almost 1.3 seconds behind Reed as he takes his 227 to the bottom of the racetrack. Fellers and Skaggs race in the back of the field now with 4 laps to go.
See the way that Reed is handling turns 1 and 2. Down on the inside of 2, it's awfully bumpy. He is arching that corner. That way he misses those ruts, is able to work himself around that and keep his momentum up. He goes down and then drifts high right there, gets through those bumps, and is able to stay ahead of Chase Domer.
Domer plowing around the bottom of the track, follows Reed off of turn number 4 now. Just 2 laps remaining, and a great battle back from 3rd to 5th between Phillips, Pursley, and Johnson. Johnson now back in 5th. Behind him, the Flash, Johnny Fittewald, in that brand new 21. Bruce Cordy will wave the white flag in front of the eyes of Robbie Reed. Reed started on the pole. He has been out in front every lap, has had to fight his way through restarts, caution after caution. Matt Johnson took a run at him. Chase Domer took a run at him, but nobody could outrace Robbie Reed as he is your race winner tonight here in the Pitts Homes USRA Modifieds.